record on this computer. This meeting is being recorded. Okay, great. Got it. And now we begin today's lesson. So if you took a look online, you saw a worksheet. And let me go ahead and make myself comfortable here first, of course. And hopefully this is going to be a seamless experience. So I am recording. So if we go to Schoology, so here's Schoology. We're going to go to your period 4. And here in updates, I put 2 things. I put 2 links and 2 worksheets. One worksheet is empty. The other worksheet is full of stuff. All right. So what I want to do is I want to go over, not this worksheet, because I want you to do it on your own. I want to do just another worksheet. So I'll go here, Dropbox. Hurry up, computer. Why is my computer so slow? There we go. And so I go to teaching. I go to mathematics primary. Come on. I go to honor statistics. I go to statistics tests. I go to quizzes. I go to since that year, first 9 weeks. And I go here to this quiz. I have a bunch of different quizzes here. And I have some numbers in order. So the reason I put them in order is because a lot of us spend a humongous amount of time just putting everything in order. Let me make this bigger though. How do I make this bigger? There we go. So there are the numbers there. So we have those numbers. Now I'm going to copy these numbers and I'll post it on the whiteboard app. So copy. And then whiteboard. Where's whiteboard here? I don't see it. Okay. All right. My plumber just bought all the plumbing. See how much money he spent on plumbing. $1,080.80. Wonderful. Okay. So let's go to whiteboard quickly. So that means I got to pay him that. Oh no, if he bought it from my account, I don't have to worry about it. I just have to pay it to my account. So let's go to another one. Come here. No, here. And paste. Lovely. Look how this looks. Incredible. Oh, whatever. Let's pretend it looks better. No, me lo sacó así. Let me see if I can alter it. My wife is calling me. If she only knew I was recording. Dime. ¿Qué te dijeron? Okay. Ok, y te llamo para atrás que estoy aquí grabando, ok? Bye. All right, so my wife just got out of the IVF, so I'll call her later. These numbers are not working for me, but whatever. I'm gonna rewrite them again. So these are numbers in order. Does anybody know how to alter this here? Okay, those are the numbers. They're in order. I'm gonna just rewrite them because I don't like the way it looks. So we got 12. We got 18. I should do a better 18 than that. Wow, you see everything I see. Let me make the pen a little bit. Let me see if I can make it a little bit thinner. Yeah, a little bit thinner. Okay, there we go. Let's do it again. We got 12. We got 18. We got 26. We got 28. We got 31. We got 33. We got 40. We got 44. We got 45. We got 49. Give me 1 second, guys, to pause the recording. Where's there? I can go ahead and erase the other one on the side if it lets me. It doesn't let me. There we go. Now it's gonna go. All right. So I want to make a frequency distribution there. Actually, I want to make an expanded frequency distribution. How do I begin? What's the first step I do, guys? So yeah, so we have the maximum is 125. And the minimum is what? 12. Now the number of classes, for the sake of brevity, we're gonna keep the number of classes at 5. And so now we're gonna find our class width, correct? So let's do our class width. Thank you. I'll check it in a bit. Only if you're careful. So the class width is gonna be max minus min divided by the number of classes. Right? So it's going to be 125 minus 12 divided by 5. So let me get my calculator out. 125 minus 12 is 113. And you have 113 divided by 5. That's 22.6. And we round that up to 23. So here's what I want you to do. I want you, and I'll just zoom out a bit. I want you to create the table for practice, and then I'll go ahead and do it with you quickly. So let me go ahead here. We'll start making our table. Classes, frequency, midpoint, relative frequency, cumulative frequency, and a new one, class boundaries. So we have class, we have frequency, we have midpoint. Oh, thank you. All right. We have relative frequency, we have cumulative frequency, and then finally we have class boundaries. Class boundaries. I'll just class B. So then I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording and see if you can create everything that you need. All right, so I resumed the recording. We created our first classes by adding 23 to each of our classes, our lower class, starting with 12, the lowest, the minimum. So now we're creating our upper class. That's 57, 80, right? 34 plus 23 will give you 57, or you could just take one less than 58. One less than 81 is 80. One less than 104 is 103. And what's 103 plus 23? 120. Yay. So now we do our frequencies real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for 12 to 34. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4 for 35 to 57. And then we have 58 through 80, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we have 81 through 103, 1, 2, 3. And then we have 2. So the sum of that frequency, 6 plus 4 is 10, plus 5, 15, plus 3 more is 18, plus 2 is 20. So we have 20 numbers. So this is actually good. Now we're gonna do our midpoints. Our midpoints are going to be. Hello, good morning. I don't mind at all. I just not sure who's. Oh, there's Samantha. No problem. So 12 plus 34 is 46 divided by 2. Remember, it's upper limit plus lower limit divided by 2. That's how you do midpoint. So this is 23. Now you can continue doing that add and divide by 2 over and over again, but if you're confident that that is indeed your first midpoint, and you're confident that you create your classes correctly, you go ahead and add your class width over and over again to get the rest of the numbers. So we have 23, that's 46. Plus 23 more. That's 69. Plus 23 more, that's 92. And plus 23 more, that's 115. So now we do relative frequency. Right? Relative frequency is you take each frequency and divide by the total. So in this case, I get 0.3. I'm going to go ahead and write 0.30 instead of 0.3. It might not be necessary, but just in case. So 4 divided by 30. That's 0.13 or 0.13 repeated. So I was going to write 0.13. Then I do 5 divided by 3. Oh, that's really bad. 5 divided by 30. That's 0.16 repeated. So 0.17. 3 divided by 3 is point. Say again? Oh my gosh. So all these numbers are gonna come out nice, aren't they? 5 divided by 20. Sorry about that. That's 0.25. 4 divided by 20. What's 4 divided by 20? 0.20. 3 divided by 20. Sorry for this, guys. Somebody text me. 3 divided by 20. What does it come out to? And 2 divided by 20. So now we do cumulative frequency. The first cumulative frequency will be what? The next one. Next one. Next one. Now, let's do our class boundaries. Let me pause this because my towel guys. So we're going to create our class boundaries. Did I talk about class boundaries last class? All right, so here's our problem. We have a gap between 34 and 35. How much is the gap between 34 and 35? 1. So we split 1 in half. If we made 34 half bigger, but made 35 half smaller, wouldn't they be the same number? And that eliminates the gap. So if I add 0.5 to 34, but subtract from 35 half, they meet. But then you repeat that for all the classes. You see? You do that over and over again. And all of a sudden, every single class, and then you have to repeat it to the top one as well. Subtract and add 0.5 to each of your classes will eliminate the space between them. And that's going to allow us to create histograms. So now here's what we're going to do. We're going to be making something called a frequency histogram. A frequency histogram. Now, the first thing you got to know about frequency histogram, it's that it's a bar graph where the bars touch. Now, these histograms are reserved for quantitative data. We use bar graphs for qualitative data. So if it's numbers that mean numbers, I mean, that are numerical, we use histograms. If it's categories, colors, or things that are identified, whatever it might be, we use bar graphs. So it's very important to remember that the bars have to touch. The second thing is that we can only use either midpoints or class boundaries, which is what we have to use anyways. Now, the reason we created class boundaries was to eliminate the gaps, because if we tried to graph this histogram with, let's say, 12 and 34 here, then when we went ahead and went this gap here, we would have 35 through 57. And when we make these bars here and here, there will be this gap. And we're not allowed to have that gap. Okay. But now we have our class boundaries. And our class boundaries, we have 11.5, 34.5, right? That's the first class boundaries. But then we don't have to rewrite 34.5. We just say, okay, from 34.5, we have 57.5. From 57.5, we have 80.5. From 80.5, we have 103.5. Then we have 126.5. So this is going to be your x-axis. Your horizontal axis is class boundaries, while your vertical axis is frequency. You pick your scale. In this case, it goes up as high as 6. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So now we make our graphs, our bars. Yes. So let's make our bars. The first bar is going to start here, go to 6. And you have 4. Then you have 5. Then you have 3. And then you have 2. So 2, 3, 5. 3, 2. Yes. Be careful.
Chocolate. Don't eat. Just $1. No. Okay. Thank you, Mr.
You're welcome. So, any questions or concerns? But we can also do the same frequency histogram. We can do it with midpoints. Let me go ahead and make another graph here. So let's make another one here. So we're gonna do a frequency histogram now, but we're gonna do it with midpoints. So frequency histogram, but we're gonna be using midpoints. So here we'll do midpoints. Now the midpoints were, I'll write them 23, 46, 69, 92, and 115. All right. So now we can't, the key about midpoints is that the midpoint has to be in the middle of the bar. So that means here's the middle between these two, and then you just copy the same thing over here, and then you just go like this. And you make sure that the midpoint is in the middle of the bar. So that's 6. The next one's going to be 4. So again, you repeat the same thing. Not the best graph, but good enough. 4. And then you have 5. Not a little bit off, but you see how I'm making an effort to keep the midpoint in the middle of the bar. Then we have 3 and then 2. So 3 and then 2. Any questions? Any questions? Is that easy? Okay, so here's the thing. You can also redo these graphs as a frequency histogram. You can do it as a relative frequency histogram. Yes. Should be a 6. I don't know why I wrote a 2 there. Okay. So what if I said, hey, I wanted you to make instead now. Oh. Why is it writing? Give me 1 second. Great. What if I said, hey, do a relative frequency histogram using class boundaries, right? And then do a same relative frequency histogram, but using class midpoints. Could you do that? What's the only thing that changes? What's the only thing that changes? Here, the vertical axis is what changes. So please work on that for a few minutes, see if you could do it. So the only difference now is you're going to do, instead of frequency on the y-axis, you're going to do relative frequency. So you pick a scale. In this case, it looks like a proper scale would be maybe 0.05. I mean, you pick whichever one you want, but I mean, be consistent, Once you pick a scale, stick to it. And then you're going to create your little class boundaries here. It's going to be the same graph, just with a different y-axis. different scale on the y-axis. Right, you're gonna have, let me pick another color here. Hey, aren't your teachers using this anymore? Like Microsoft Surface? None of them are using it? No? Why not? Have you told them anything? You haven't told them like to use their tablet? Nobody cares? So there it is. And now if you did the other side, it's the same thing. It's gonna be 0.05, 0.10, but you use midpoints instead. I mean, I think this is pretty self-explanatory, right? Don't you think so? Oh, you don't want to talk to me. I can't force you to talk to me. Are you guys that tired and that cynical about life that you don't want to participate in class? Point. Now notice what I do here. Notice, right? 0.30. Point 20. Point 25. 0.15. 0.10. You're going to be expected to do this on your next test, but we're not done. There's more graphs. I'll let you copy, so I'll pause the recording. So the new graphs are two specific graphs. One is called I'm going to use a fun color. So one is called a frequency polygon. So that's one of them. So I'm going to make the little axis here. And the other one is called a cumulative frequency graph. Cumulative frequency graph. Okay. So now both of these are line graphs, essentially. Now for frequency polygon, you can only use midpoint. Must use midpoint. For cumulative frequency graph, we're going to use class boundaries. You must use this. You can't use anything else. I put must point here. Must use. So when we're doing the frequency polygon, we have to use midpoints. So we're going to go ahead and do it. This is going to be 23. This is going to be 46. This is going to be 69. This is going to be 92. This is going to be 115. And then here's going to be the frequency. Obviously, we have the same type of scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And so now I'm going to start putting dots here. So for 23, for example, we have 6. So here is 6. For 46, we have 4. For 69, we have 5. For 92, we have 3. And for 115, we have 2. And so now we connect these dots like this, like this, like this, and like this. But that is not a polygon. We want to make a polygon. So what we need to do, and this is something you have to remember, is we have to create two additional midpoints. Now, what was the class width here? The class width was 23, right? So what's 23 minus 23? 0. And what's 115 plus 23? She's not here today. Dinelli's not here. No, she's not. Okay, yes, borrow her. Are you guys gonna dance?
Yes.
All right, go ahead and dance. All right, so you take 115 plus 23, you create essentially another midpoint, I guess you could say. So this is 138, and now goes down here. And that is how you graph a frequency polygon. Super simple, right? Does that seem hard? Let me see what they're doing. I'm curious. Zoom recording. Okay, so let's do class boundaries. He also did American Ninja Warrior, by the way. I'm serious. I'm gonna try to find a video. It's funny. So we're gonna do now cumulative frequency. So we got cumulative frequencies, and so we write 11.5, 34.5 cumulative. We got our class boundaries. You have to use our class boundaries. Right? So here I am, making our class boundaries. And so here are class boundaries. And in this case, the maximum is 20. So I'm gonna go up by, you know what? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. So now I ask you a question. For 11.5, what would be my cumulative frequency? For the class boundary 11.5, what would be my cumulative frequency? Would it be 6? What's my first cumulative frequency? 6. But would that be at 11.5 or would it be at 34.5? What was my smallest number? So at 11.5, how many numbers would I have counted? Are there any numbers that are 11.5? So for our first class boundary, we start here at 0. But at 34.5, now I have how many? 6. And at 57.5, how much do I have? 10. And at 80.5, how much do I have? 15. And at 103.5, how much do I have? And by the time I get all the way to the end, how much do I have? And all you do now is you connect, 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 connect. And that is a cumulative frequency graph. You're going to be expected to be able to do this, not next class, but the class after. For a grade, for 2 grades, there's going to be multiple versions of the test, so the cheating is kept down to a minimum.